Ladies and germs, it is here, regular season college football, and let's get some news and notes brought to you by OffshoreInsiders.com. Yeah, we've been winning for you since the 1980 score phone days. Joe Duffy's pick, Stevie Vincent, Master Lock Line, now all on OffshoreInsiders.com. We're going to take a look at some news and notes. Of course, Northwestern and Nebraska, they will be playing in Dublin, Ireland, not Dublin, Ohio, not Dublin, Georgia. 9 of the last 11 meetings have been decided by 11 or less. Now, some people would say that Nebraska is a little bit undervalued. Despite their 3-9 straight-up record, they outscored their opponents during the season. All 9 of Nebraska's losses last year were by single digits, and in fact, 8 of those were one-score games. So this is where a lot of people think that Nebraska had one of the most, well, they definitely had one of the most, if not the most deceptive record in college football last year. So they were definitely better than their straight-up record. And remember, 20-something years, no, not 20-something, 30-something years in the business, been betting forever, since before some of you were born. I'm going to tell you again, I've told you a million times, I'll tell you 1,000,001. There is not a more overrated statistic when it comes to sports handicapping than straight-up stats. That's for sure, folks. All right, now let's go to UConn and Utah State. Utah State does replace 5 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe some name value. A lot of people, because they know Jim Mora Jr., are going to expect for UConn to turn it around. Though he does get 15 starters back. A few of you cynics might say, well, 15 starters back, but he's got a bad team last year. No, we found out as a general rule of thumb, and again, this is 3+ decades of experience, when a horrific team has a lot of starters back, there was some baptism by fire the previous year. They have nowhere to go but up. And the general public thinks, okay, well, they got a bunch of crappy players back. They can't be better. Well, they usually are. UConn is the type of team that will sneak under the radar. They do have a decent number of starters back. And, yeah, they're only going to get better. So I do think that UConn is one of those teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up with a better than 500 record against the spread. Utah State, if you believe in look-ahead games, Utah State, they can have a bigger one than this. They play Alabama the following week. Wyoming and Illinois. Wyoming has just 10 returning starters. Obviously, that's on both sides of the ball. They lost their star wide receiver, Isaiah Nayar. Syracuse transfer Tommy DeVito will be taking over at quarterback for the Illini. He has 15 career starts, so he does have some experience. Now, by several metrics, Illinois is among the least experienced teams in the country. So this is definitely a team that is completely rebuilt. And again, you want the world's greatest sports picks, you're going to get them at OffshoreInsiders.com. All right, let's take a look at some remaining news and notes. North Texas and UTEP North Texas, they turned their season around last year after going a lot more run-oriented. They returned 4 starters from their offensive line, and this is a team that finished 5th in the nation in rushing. So again, they got much better as last season went on. UTEP just the opposite. They started out 6-1 straight up, but then they finished 1-5. Nevada and by the way, in my opinion, based on my experience, teams that start out strong and finish poorly, or vice versa, where they have a tale of 2 different seasons, there's not a lot to read into that. But some people may say that, yeah, North Texas would be the team that might sneak a little bit more under the radar because they improved as the year went on. Nevada, New Mexico State. Now, injuries and departures, Nevada is really as decimated. They have as little returning talent as anybody, based on a lot of different metrics out there that are rated. They're minus 45 players from last season, very little depth. Wolfpack lost their head coach, Jay Norvell, the quarterback, Carson Strong, wide receiver, Romeo Dubes. Topping the list, New Mexico State coach Jerry Kill. Look, he's famous for having his teams competitive in games. Remember in Minnesota? Minnesota was always pretty good against quality teams. So, again, can Kill do it again and have an overmatched team quite competitive? A lot of people would say so. This is a good opportunity to sneak up on an overvalued Nevada team, according to a lot of experts out there. New Mexico State lost 7 starters on offense, though, including their quarterback. Vanderbilt and Hawaii. The Vanderbilt got to Hawaii a week ago. That's kind of the advantage. I guess they're not in class yet, or maybe they just took the whole week off, whatever. Jet lag should not be an issue. And remember, this is the first game of the entire season. Now, Hawaii, they are a bottom 5 team in terms of offensive production, that is, returning, according to most metrics out there. They don't have a lot of offensive production back. And yet Tommy Chang takes over, so a lot of people also think Hawaii is going to pass like crazy. Remember, one of our golden rules, when you handicap totals, it's not so much about offensive or defensive competency. It's more about pace, and we do think that Hawaii could be a road runner team, a team that throws the ball all the time. So remember, visit OffshoreInsiders.com each and every day for vetted sportsbooks. Master Lockline, which has been winning for you since 1980. Me, Joe Duffy, I've been winning for you since 1988. Stevie Vincent since the earlier part of this century, all on the various score phones. OffshoreInsiders.com, the